Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, I managed to find some footage of that landslide in Alaska. Sorry, the mountain slide in Alaska where it just crumbled to dust. Take a look at this, subhanAllah. Look at the mountains in the foreground, and that's what happened to another similar mountain next to him. It's been leveled. I mean, you can, subhanAllah, this is what would happen to a house if it had been bulldozed. And look at the swath of area this mountain was covering and how big this mountain was. Allahu Akbar Kabira. That used to be a mountain, now it's flat on the ground. It's nothing. And this happened in Alaska, by the way, right? And it's not made any of the news, totally hushed, kept quiet. So we've not only got landslides, we've not only got earthquakes, we've not only got sinkholes, we've not only got volcanic eruptions, but now we've got mountains collapsing to dust. And none of the events that I've mentioned so far can be impacted by pollution. I mean, yes, okay, there's an argument maybe that the climate can be impacted by it. The oceans can be impacted by it, you know, and it's a bit difficult to kind of, with very clear evidence, disassociate that sort of activity from pollution. But as far as earthquakes are concerned, anything below the crust, as far as landslides are concerned, as far as volcanic eruptions are concerned, which come from within the crust, as far as sinkholes are concerned, this has got everything to do with everything below surface, right? And the activity below surface, and something's exciting the core of the earth, which is then exciting the magma, which is then exciting the surface of the earth. And then it lends into the water, the seas warming up, and then condensation, and the storms, and this everything else that we're seeing in terms of climate and weather. And as far as I'm concerned, the whole hypothesis about pollution is a false narrative being played out upon the Ummah. To A, distract us, B, to use by the elitists to curb progress by other third world countries, whilst they've built their infrastructure off the back of burning fossil fuels. They're stopping other third world countries from developing themselves by using this whole climate card, and then they generate a lot of money through carbon taxes and everything else. So I mean, it's an industry in and of itself. You know, the whole scare tactic, the fear tactic, and then getting the global elite behind that whole agenda and pushing it, and using individuals, celebrities like Al Gore to push this whole climate agenda. I think it's nonsense. I think it was always this incoming passage of this binary solar system that's causing it, and they were anticipating it, and they were observing it whilst it was passing through other celestial bodies and the effects it was causing on them. And these satellites that they send out into space to observe other bodies, it's not just to take pretty pictures. You know, it does exactly what these satellites do around our sun, where they take radio wave images and infrared images in different angstroms. And from that they glean a lot of data and a lot of information. So I mean, let's say they knew the passage of this incoming star, then all they have to do is follow its trail and send off a satellite to tail it and see what it does in its wake whilst it passes through other celestial bodies, and then guesstimate what it's going to do when it passes us, because after all, we're a planet as well, and we function similar to others in terms of what makes the chemical makeup of our planet, from the core to the crust and everything else, and the atmosphere. Even if other planets don't have water, what they do have is atmosphere. They have a crust, they have a core, they have magma, they have their own magnetic fields, and magnetic fields come from, in fact, it turns out Saturn's got a bigger one than our sun does. So I mean, and the magnetic field comes from magma, which spins around the core. So I mean, the core needs to exist. So from this, they can deduce the chemical makeup of all the planets, and if this system passes through them or over them or through past them, then they can basically judge by these satellites that they send over there what it's actually doing to them and their atmosphere as well, and they can anticipate and forecast what's going to happen here. And then they create this whole global climate narrative around this whole thing. Subhanallah, is plausible. It's not something that we should discount. It's certainly worthwhile considering that is the case. And again, subhanallah, the evidence is mounting up to support this hypothesis. That's in the document signs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Jazakallahu khairan wa ahsanul jaza for your time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.